It's Monday, April 1st. I'd like to remind folks this is a public hearing being broadcast live and taped for review at a later time. It is on Comcast Channel 8, RCN 82, Verizon 1964, and streamed at boston.gov/city-council-TV. I'd like to ask everyone to silence their electronic devices. We will take public testimony at the conclusion of the presentation and questions from my colleagues. There is a sign-up sheet to my left by the front door. We ask that you state your name, address, any affiliation, and please mark the section that expresses if you do wish to testify, mark yes. I'd like to also remind folks you can submit written testimony by mail or email at ccc.wm@boston.gov. We are here today to review dockets 0501 and 0502. Docket 0501 is a message and order approving a supplemental appropriation for the Library Department for FY19 in the amount of $732,604 to cover the FY19 cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the City of Boston and the Boston Public Library Professional Staff Association, otherwise known as PSA. And docket 0502, message in order to reduce the FY19 appropriations for the Reserve for Collective Bargaining by $732,604 to provide funding for the Library Department for the FY19 increase contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the City of Boston and the Boston Public Library. I'd like to introduce to my left my friend from South Boston, District City Councilor Ed Flynn. And with that, I'll hand it over to Justin and your team.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Councilor Flynn, for having us here today. My name is Justin Starrett, and I'm the city's budget director. I am joined by two colleagues who will introduce themselves and talk a little bit about the contract further. But we are here to offer testimony on the two dockets before you today, docket 0501 and 0502, the appropriation orders necessary to cover the FY19 costs of the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Boston Public Library Professional Staff Association, PSA, as you mentioned, for $733,000. As you remember, the FY19 budget passed by the council included $38.4 million in aggregate to cover the collective bargaining reserves for the year. So far in FY19, this is the 13th supplemental collective bargaining appropriation that the City Council has reviewed. The City Council has previously passed appropriations for Teamsters, Park Rangers, Municipal Police Patrolmen and Superiors, PHC counselors, BPS storekeepers, firefighters, PHC programs, BPS Admin Guild, AFSCME, Typographical Union, and BPS bus drivers. So we are nearing the end, obviously, of the calendar year and the fiscal year, and what we still have outstanding. With the approval of this supplemental appropriation, the remaining balance in the FY19 collective bargaining reserve will be $15.2 million. With the completion of this contract here today, the city will have settled with the majority of its unions, about 85% between the city, BPS, and PHC. And I will turn it over to Anne Marie and Ellen to go through some of the highlights of the contracts, but we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
So, consistent with what we agreed to with many other unions, there's a 2% wage increase in each year, beginning in January of each calendar year for this group. In addition, the group will receive the city's paid parental leave policy consistent with the way other employees at the city have received it. We were also able to achieve them moving to a biweekly pay structure, which helps with efficiencies and administrative costs. We've also centralized their compensation grade appeal process, which we think will help with consistency throughout the city. In addition, as we did with some of the other unions, there will be an increased, a new additional step added to the end of their pay scales. In addition, the initial step in their pay scales will be eliminated. Any employee on that step at that time will be moved up to one step. And we've also, this group is a highly educated group with most of their employees require having a master's degree in order to take on the position. As a result, we have agreed to a tuition reimbursement program similar to what exists with several of the other unions throughout the city, as well as compensation, an additional increase to their compensation for those who have a second master's degree.
Great, thank you. How many folks are in this bargaining unit, and what are some of the titles, I guess? Just curious.
Predominantly librarians is about 182 in the bargaining unit, about 180. There's usually about 24, 25 positions open at any time. Aside from the librarians, which go from P5s, assistant managers who each have about 8 libraries underneath them. Branch librarians are P4s and P3s. I think pretty much the only folks who are in this union who aren't librarians are the communications staff and some staff in IT. But it is primarily the
Primarily the
librarians.
librarians who are the gems in our city. Do you have any questions, Councilor Flynn? And we are being joined by Councilor Matt O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the panelists for being here. Could you talk a little about the city's paid parental leave benefit? What is that plan all about, and how does it work?
So the city's paid parental plan policy, it mirrors the policy that was created several years back when the city council actually created an exempt policy for exempt employee with full paid leave for 2 weeks, paid leave for 75% for another 2 weeks, and 50% pay for the remaining 2 weeks. This runs concurrent with any other medical or family leave that an employee would be taking for the birth or adoption of a child.
That's a great benefit. Thank you for your work on that. One other issue I'm focused on is going forward. Maybe it's not in here, but going forward, Justin, could we consider child care issues as well as part of the benefits package? That's certainly a big expense for families across our city, but just going forward, at least if we could think about it and how it impacts our workforce, in maybe even trying to do a pilot with one of the unions if we can, just something that we can get the ball rolling on.
Yeah, it's not something we've taken a really close look at so far, but it's certainly something we can talk about during the upcoming budget hearings time. Obviously, early education, childcare continues to be a priority for the mayor and this administration and the superintendent, so it's definitely something that is at top of mind for all City of Boston employees, a lot of which happen to also be residents as well, so it's something that we'll be talking more about in the coming weeks, I'm sure.
Thank you, and if there's any help I could be on that issue, please let me know as well. And
Sure.
again, I just want to say thank you to the panelists for being here today.
Thanks, Councilor Flynn. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have many questions. I apologize for being late. I'm just looking over some of the bullet points. Seems pretty in line with what we're seeing with most other municipal employees, wouldn't you say, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 2, 2, 2, and 2. And employees will move to electronic pay stubs. Is this the last department that is going to electronic pay stubs, I hope? Do you know?
I don't believe they are quite the last one. They were one of the larger ones still outstanding, but I believe there are 1 or 2 others that are still out there.
That was my first month on the council, working with the chairman on getting. It used to be
Saving a couple of trees.
and money and time. It used to be you could not opt out of a paper stub.
Yep.
Yeah.
And luckily, so that's just a very small way we can have an impact.
Is that
So
one of your first?
that was my first resolution.
Wow.
Yeah, the one I'm very proud of. Biweekly pay. Advance one grievance. Yeah, I think this seems good. Appreciate you guys. It's always great. Ellen, you do great work in the library, and we're so proud. I'm very lucky to represent 4 wonderful libraries in my little district. Spend a lot of time there. I was at West Roxbury on Friday. I will be at the Connolly branch tonight, and of course JP and Eggleston Square. Incredibly dedicated team of individuals that work there. I'm so proud that this administration has really shown a deep commitment not only to the public facilities of our libraries, but the health, being, and welfare of our staff as well that fill those libraries. So I will be very much supporting this when it comes up for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor O'Malley. And just to piggyback off that, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Honan Library, the Brighton branch, and the Faneuil branch, and we're looking forward to getting those renovations off the ground very, very soon. I want to thank the administration. I also want to recognize the great work the administration and your team have done negotiating what would appear to be very consistent across all lines of our employees, and just wanted to make note of that. And with that, unless anybody else has anything else, this hearing stands adjourned.
Thank you.